Obviously now, as she is moving from place to place, a citizen of many scenes and climes, each soil and country it has made its home. So Savitri's consciousness is identifying itself to every aspect of nature, of life, of human conduct and behavior and ways of doing things. A citizen of many saints and climes, each soil and country it has made its home. It took all clans and peoples for her own, till the whole destiny of mankind was hers. So that is the deeper consciousness which has suddenly awakened in Savitri, that the whole human race is now a part of her consciousness. These unfamiliar spaces on her way were known and neighbors to a sense within. That's the beauty of Savitri. She has some knowledge of it within her soul, of all those types of things she has seen, were known and neighbors to a sense within. Landscapes recurred like lost, forgotten fields. They were always there in her. And when she is going from place to place, those landscapes, she is sort of remembering. She is recollecting as if she had moved through the process earlier also. Landscapes recurred like lost, forgotten fields. So, it is the deep psychic memory of Savitri which is recalling all these events and all these scenes. Cities and rivers and plains, her vision claimed. Like slow recurring memories in front. The stars at night were her past brilliant friends. So while Savitri is going from place to place, day after day after night, on and on, day she is traveling, in the night she is going to go to some place and take rest and again start the journey next day morning like that, day after day. The stars at night were her past brilliant friends. When she sees the stars in the sky, well, she recollects them that look, we have been together in earlier life also. The winds murmur to her of ancient things, and she met nameless comrades loved by her once. So she had the recollection of all these things, people, tracks, ancient things. She remembers ancient things. So this is something which has been happening earlier also in her earlier human births. Like slow recurring memories and front, the stars at night were her past brilliant friend. The winds murmur to her of ancient things, and she met nameless comrades loved by her once. All was a part of old forgotten selves, because Savitri has taken a human birth. There is a human veil around her consciousness. But now the moment she starts seeing this thing, interacting with thing on the physical level, that memory awakens in her soul. Vaguely or with a flash of sudden, vaguely or with a flash of sudden hand, her acts record a line of bygone power. Even her motion's purpose was not new. She is traveling, she is sort of repeating what she had done in her earlier attempts, in her earlier lives, in search of her life's partner. traveler to a prefigured high event. Prefigured. You see, this is already fixed. It has to happen that way. This is the commentary of the poet. Savitri's soul is kind of awakening itself to that. She is saying to her remembering witness soul to trace again a journey often made. A journey often made. She is tracing once more that journey. Will this time the journey be successful? She has been doing it again and again since the beginning of this earthly creation. She has been making this attempt. Of that she has a recollection. She has taken up the journey again now. Will this time the journey be successful? What is the guarantee that Savitri will meet the one whom she wants to meet? She must have, of course, met him earlier also, in her past lives also. But will that meeting this time be successful? The guarantee of that, yes, what do you say? Yes, of course, it has to be, no? The way the question means it is a rhetorical question. It means that it is yes, it is going to be successful. The rhetorical question means that it is going to be successful. Why it is going to be successful this time? That is more important. Earlier, she has been undertaking the journey to trace again a journey often made. See, this is the occult yogic aspect of Savitri, of Sri Aurobindo's epic Savitri, which is very significant, which is very important to see. Why this time the journey might be successful? Because this time Ashwapati's Yoga Tapasya has established that power. His Yoga Tapasya has ripened up, so to say, if you like to say, to the extent that, yes, when she comes here, this time it will be successful. And there is no doubt about it this time. It is entirely because of the significant Yoga Tapasya Ashwapati has done during this incarnation of his. To trace again a journey often made, a guidance turned revolving wheels, and in the eager body of the speed, the dim-masked hooded goddess rode to move, assigned to man immutably from his birth. Receivers of the inner and outer law, at once the agents of his spirit's will and witnesses and executors of his fate. All these gods have awakened now. That is the beauty of it. That is the power of the present journey. A guidance turned the dumb revolving wheels of time. The moments, the cyclic moments of time. And of course, the revolving wheels of Savitri's chariot. She is going from place to place, you see. And in the eager body of their speed, of those wheels, the dim-masked hooded goddess rode, who move assigned to man immutably from his birth. Those gods are assigned to man. Now they have kind of awakened and they will take care of this man now. Assigned to man immutably from his birth, they have awakened now because of these speeding wheels of time. Receivers of the inner and outer law, receivers, the gods. At once the agents of his spirit's will, they are the agents of his man's spirit's will, and witnesses and executors of his fate. These gods have come into operation. It means the moment Savitri steps out of the palace, the gods follow her as she moves. They have to move along with her, inexorably faithful to their task. They cannot but do what they had to do, inexorably. They hold his nature sequence in their guard. He is, of course, stands for man. Their guard, carrying the unbroken thread all lives has spun. So from life to life, man goes on, but these gods are carrying that thread forward. And now these gods are awakened. Now, of course, here we can say that although he is speaking, the poet is talking in general terms of man's fate. But this is essentially in the context of Savitri. Essentially in the context of Savitri. Because she has taken human birth. And now as she is moving in her human birth here, the gods are awakened and they are also following her behind the chariot. She is riding her chariot and the gods are following her. So inexorably those things had to happen now, you see. Carrying the unbroken thread, whole lives spun. Attendance on his destiny's measured walk. Savitri's walk from place to place measured, specific. Measured walk, life after life. She has building up higher and higher grades of spirit's possibilities on this world, on this earth here. That is the measured walk of Savitri. And these gods are the attendants of that task. Leading to joy, he has won, and pains he has called. Even in his casual steps, they intervene. In his casual steps, they intervene. Savitri, it may appear that she is going from place to place, unaware of things, casually, ignorantly, innocently, but they are aware of each and every event and each and every spot, what is going to happen, what should happen, you see. Because the gods are there now around her. So Savitri is definitely accompanied by the elderly ministers of the palace of her father's army. But more important than the ministers and the army and the guardians, physical guardians, are these gods. You want to make it a little low? Leading into joys he has won, and pains he has called. Even in his casual steps, they intervene. Now, obviously, this intervention of the gods is not for someone who is not prepared for that kind of an intervention. It is meant for the prepared soul. Soul ready to accept that intervention. It is not for any human being, any small person. I mean, we meet all kinds of things in life. It does not mean that the gods are planning all those things for us. We are totally ignorant of that. When the soul is really ready, then they plan each and every detail of our life and our moments. Savitri is one like that, and therefore it is in that context they intervene and do what has got to be done for Savitri. Even in its casual steps they intervene. Nothing we think or do is void or vain. Well, here we and man, etc., etc. Well, the poet is very sympathetic with us. He's sort of glorifying us. but it is assumed that it is only those who are ready for that sort of a thing. It is understood that, you see, mother will do everything for us. It doesn't happen that way. She will do when you are ready. She is always there to do it. But then we had to be ready for her to intervene in our activities, in our actions, in our movements. We had to be ready for that. Nothing we think or do is void or vain. Each is an energy loosed and holds its course. This is what the gods do. Well, this is the context of Savitri and the gods. You see. The shadowy keepers of our deathless past have made our fate the child of our own acts. And from the furrows labored by our will, we reap the fruit of our forgotten deeds. It is the subconscious element in us which plays its own part in our life, in our movement. When we say our, it is to be understood that for the prepared person, you see. The shadowy keepers of our deathless past. See, we are keeping something which is very precious in our life, but that is kept secret from us. Have made our fate the child of our own acts. We have done those acts, and it is that which comes into play, and that becomes our fate. Our fate is worked out by that we see. And from the furrows labored by our will, we plough the land and put the seeds in the furrows there and reap its fruit. The karma, the past karma, it is that which we acquire and which we reap, the merits of our life, of our past life, of our actions, of our deeds. And from the furrows labored by our will, we reap the fruit of our forgotten deeds. We are not aware of it, but then they come into play in our life, always. But sense, unseen, the tree that bore this fruit, and we live in a present born from an unknown past. We have forgotten our past because we don't have contact with our soul. The merit, the good of the past is stored in our soul. So we have no access to that past. If we know our soul, then that becomes known to us. Therefore, it is still the unknown past for us, you see. And we live in a present born from an unknown past. They seem but parts of a mechanic force, as if mechanically, automatically, by the law of karma, they seem to keep on happening, repeating constantly. Yet, are they instruments of a will supreme? These keepers of the past, which are there within us, they are doers of things which have been willed by the Supreme Himself, watched by a still, all-seeing eye above. All these actions are seen from above. The gods are following, yet the past is there and the past can intervene and play its own mischief. But from above, things are observed and seen, and so to say, due precaution is taken at every step for the chosen soul, for the soul which is ready. That is important again and again. A prescient architect of fate and chance, he knows the future. Although for us things might appear as a result of chance, as a result of forces of nature, of the individual soul, of the transcendental will, all combined together. Fate is a combination of all the three: our soul's will, the forces of nature, the cosmic nature, and the transcendent will, when they come together in a certain operation, then depending upon preponderance of one or the other, our fate gets decided this way or that way. Of course, again, let me repeat once more that this is meant for the ready souls, because we are not in contact with our souls. A prescient architect of fate and chance who builds our lives on a foreseen design, the meaning knows and consequence of each step, and watches the inferior stumbling powers. That is the aspect of chance, of fate. The inferior powers intervening and playing mischief in the work. So this is how we have the picture of man who is ready to receive the divine guidance, the divine help, the divine protection also in all the eventuality for the case of the ready soul. And of course, the poet is telling us in a generalized sense. It is universal, but it is here more specific for Savitri.